Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the Property Technology Hangout. This is a hangout that I do purely on my entire belief that the world of marketing is changing drastically, especially when it comes to the property world. We're finding that technology is starting to disrupt the way that we market properties, whether it be in the showroom, whether it be in brochures, whether it be using videos. But ultimately, the use of technology is certainly something which is there to understand as a marketing team, there to understand as a development team, because ultimately, the property developments that we are marketing now are global. It doesn't matter if you're in Toronto, like we're going to talk about today with Lanterra, or whether you're in Dubai. Your clients will be global. And the point is, we've got to use technology in order to reach them. So that's why we're here, property technology, and I believe wholeheartedly that it's about an interactive experience, it's about an engagement experience, and ultimately it's about an immersion experience. And there's no surprise that only 2 weeks ago at the Google I/O conference, they started to say to their developers, immersion first. And that's why they gave away the Google Cardboard VR headsets, very similar to this sort of thing here, and because technology is becoming vital in the way that we absorb information. So today we're here talking with a couple of chaps from Clockworks over in Toronto, and actually I think you guys are around a little bit further around than that as well, so I apologise. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and we'll get into a little bit more information about this project with Lanterra. So Lino, do you want to kick us off and tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Hello everybody, my name is Lino Hilario. I am the VP and partner at Clockworks Digital in Toronto, Canada, and Detroit, Michigan. My background has been purely based around digital property management and marketing. I've worked in the field for about 20 years helping developers around the world build digital tools and solutions that allow them to sell their product, allow them to bring people into visual VRs, interactive touchscreens, and sales centers for hotels, condominiums, master plan communities, or public venues. More recently, my partners and I, we've taken a very strong stance in developing the company into mobile tools. I continue to try to be a visioneering expert in digital tools for real estate marketing, and it's also my hobby, which helps quite a bit. I'll pass you on to my partner, Vincenzo.
Hello, everybody. I'm Vincenzo, President and CEO with Clockworks, with my business partner, Lino, there. Very similar. We specialize in creating some really amazing experiences using CGI and mobile technologies to engage customers with brands. I handle quite a bit of the brand engagement side of things, working with advertising agencies around the world, specifically more into the automotive sector and product engagements. At the same time, we do I do carry a real estate background in terms of commercial development as well. And we service very large companies across Canada, launching pre-visualization services, and what the future site will look like. Helps the developers get tenants coming online globally around the world. And as Lino mentioned, we've got a new frontier coming up on some mobile engagement and mobile technologies using augmented reality and integrating it with some of our production experience here on the background.
Thanks, Vincenzo. Thanks, Lino. And if you guys want to know a little bit more about that, we're using the new Showcase app in Google+, which for those of you who are watching live, as I know there are a few of you who are doing so, if you want to comment on anything that is mentioned here, basically in the picture box that you're seeing me now, in the top right-hand corner, there's a little square with an arrow, a diagonal arrow. Click that, and you'll get back to the event page where you can type away any questions that you may have. If you're watching this as a recording, there's a little box in the bottom left-hand corner, which for some reason at the moment it says Q&A. If you want to interact with the Q&A, click that, and anything that we're talking about in terms of the links, because I'm going to give you lots of links going through this program, you'll be able to get the information from that. So click that bottom left bit if you are not live. But look, cheers guys, thanks so much for that. So look, let's talk about this. So Lanterra is a developer in Toronto, and what I suppose, in most of the work that I get involved with, especially with augmented reality, the biggest difficulty is letting these developers understand what augmented reality actually is. I mean, did they understand what it was, or did you have to educate them first? That's probably the primary question for me.
James, when we first approached them, they didn't understand it. They were a little resistant, as a matter of fact, because when we first tried to make them understand that this was an amazing engagement with a mobile device, we had to literally model out a building for them So Vince and I decided to model out an actual demo. We went in and we showed it to them. The minute that they saw a structure grow from a target, it was like a kid in a candy store. They completely became enamored with it, and the CEO of the company became an evangelist of our brand. It was amazing.
I think he's the guy who said, literally, my eyes were popping out. I think that's his direct quote.
It was literally, and it was such an amazing thing to see the embracing of the technology, because now we went from becoming a VR company to becoming sales consultants. And he kept asking, well, what can we push further? And I've got some good news to tell you. They've come back and launched the second project with us right now. They are so enamored with it, and they've decided to adopt it. So all of a sudden, he has become an expert in it. He's telling his bankers how it works, and he's showing it off to people over North America. And it really was it was this amazing thing to see a 50-year-old man as if he had a gaming console in hand.
I tell you what, it's funny, isn't it? I mean, for those of us who are in the spectrum of augmented reality, and for those of you who perhaps are watching it and are not fully immersed in this technology world yet, I mean, augmented reality, I always sort of say, well, there's reality, which is what we have here, right? We're seeing everything around us. You've got virtual reality, which is when you're completely immersed in an alternative world, which I think is a very growing area. Then you've got augmented reality, which in my mind sits in the middle, which is where it's superimposing digital imagery on a real-life situation. So it may be in your tablet where you're holding something up and something will show in the tablet which isn't there in real life. And I'm sure we'll get onto that in a little bit more information. But what Lino's talking about there is obviously tablets sort of looking at the ground and something is popping up from the ground, which it just is not there. That is augmented reality. But it's interesting you say that, because what I read on the website of Lanterra is about their core values, and one of them is creativity. I'm just going to read the direct quote here. To encourage originality and embrace the dynamics of change. I mean, fundamentally, augmented reality, in my mind, is changing the entire property industry. And I still think there's only a handful of developers who are harnessing this technology, but my God, it's so good to hear they come back for a second already. I mean, that just shows you how powerful it is, right? I mean, that's awesome.
Yes. As well, James, Lanterra is a very reputable builder, and they also sit at the front of a lot of committees and with a lot of organizations centered around development in Canada. To have them embrace it really does strides of advancement for the real estate industry in general, because it wasn't like it was a new builder that embraced it. These were leaders, people who other developers are always chasing to emulate their success. So having one of these people, we couldn't have picked a better partner to help us advocate how good technology can be when it's applied as a functional tool. And augmented reality, I think, holds a lot of potential as the technology changes and as developers start to push forward. We're excited about it.
Yeah, well, before we get into sort of the intricate details of the AR deployment and how you've worked it, one of the things that I struggle with, because what I didn't mention at the start, is I work as an independent consultant on all technology issues within the property market and helping developers and agencies and brokers, for that matter, understand how to use it within their marketing. And one of the things that I find quite staggering with both augmented reality and virtual reality is that once they've had that eye-popping moment, and I think you said it, Lino, they're like kids in a candy store, right? It's just the most amazing thing in the world. A sense of reality has lost them for a second. The business sense has gone. And it's often a case of sort of bringing them back and saying, let's look at the functionality, another thing you mentioned there, and the application of this technology. So one of the things I wanted to ask was, did they have any specific aims to this rollout of augmented reality? Or was it something that you discussed together, if I may ask?
They had specific goals. Yes, they did, James. They had requested, and Vince and I sat with them in 2 separate presentations, and Vince also helped them understand the limits that the system had. Their goal was they sell internationally, James, and they wanted to be able to empower these brokers and these buyers internationally to have these experiences, and they wanted to find out, what tools can I use? And when we showed them the ability to bring print to life and pop out augmented reality buildings and overlays of videos playing on logo, they immediately immediately lit up because they said what we're doing is we're building powerful tools for our sales network. And that was the functionality part. So then it became about strategizing. How do we best deploy this? And we went from being a sales and marketing creative team to being consultants. They actually parried our role right over, where they now looked at us as true consulting partners. And they were asking us what we could do. And Vince had an integral part in that as well, in helping them understand. And when I wasn't there, Vince played the equilibrium of the role, was fulfilled by Vince's input.
There was, if I'd like to make a little comment on this one here too, James, there was a really great tool set that we had discussed with Lanterra, and that was integrating more of a virtual tour experience as well. So being able to actually put someone virtually there, essentially putting them into an experiential experience of what this lobby looks like, what this amenity space looks like. We like to envision what a typical suite would look like. So together with the CGI team and our partners, we were able to bring those experiences to life by using the technology and the gyroscope on the iPad. So they can essentially hold up the iPad, and it's like a little magic mirror, little window into the future of what this space will look like, and they're able to queue it up. They can circle all the way around, and really engages them into the project a lot more. So now they're a lot more visionary. They can see what these spaces look like, and it was a big thing for them as well in terms of connecting them to the project and fulfilling that vision on another level for them.
Absolutely, and I mean, I'm just looking at it now. Actually, in fact, the app, which I'll come on to, but I'll tell you what. While I'm here, I will turn on the right-hand side of this. I think actually it might be that side. I'm not really sure. The app for Lanterra, so that if any of you guys want to download the app on the App Store, is it only for iOS or is it also for Android, guys? I didn't check that. I do apologize.
So it's cross-platform. It's for iOS and Android.
Fantastic. What I'll do is, before the end of the show, I'll also get the Android version up here for those of you who are on Android devices, and make sure that that's in there as well. But so let's just talk about this. So, in a nutshell, obviously they wanted augmented reality, so they wanted you to build an app, and I must congratulate you in the sense of it's not simply an augmented reality app, because sometimes I feel that it actually isolates certain people, because they see there's Lanterra on the App Store and they download it, and then they go, well, actually I've got no idea how to use this. But what you've done is you've sort of you've brought about other very cool technologies within it to sort of make it all-encompassing and actually not particularly exclusive, so it's open to everybody. But let's talk about the augmented reality touchpoints. So where have they used augmented reality? Where are there trigger images that spark the augmented content?
They have used augmented reality in all of their print publication where an image of the building is included. So there are several publications that are highly reputable for builders in the Greater Toronto area, and we've managed to give the publications the augmented reality application. So once the mobile device sees the building and identifies it, it will allow a pop-up 3D experience of the building in an augmented format. Within their brochures, within the printed pieces that they'll be sending out, they've also have icons blent into the brochure that allows specific areas to come to life, delivering an augmented overlay of video or the building again, or a space to be brought up and displayed that way. What they were pleasantly surprised with was the ability of mobile devices' cameras to pick up these objects, recognize them, and deliver. Everybody had a fear of technology. The question I got all the time was, what happens when you aim the device at newsprint? It may not pick up the building. They were thrilled to see, from newsprint to magazine to twice the size of a postage stamp, that we were able to pick up and deliver an augmented reality visual. That gave them comfort. When comfort was attained, they embraced the technology. It was fantastic.
And so just to be clear again, for people who perhaps are not unfamiliar with the technology, as well as perhaps unfamiliar with the actual app itself, a trigger was embedded across various different media, and that, I presume in this instance, produced a 3D rendering of the building? Or was it different for each different publication, maybe videos in one, or how did that work?
In the publications, it produced a 3D video of the building. On the project logo and on signage and display signage, it would deliver the video that's in the application, so that people could become a little bit more familiar. And the targets were generally just the graphics. We didn't have to add a specific target per se. The way we engineered our vision recognition is that we actually identified the building itself. So there was no special print mechanism. There was no special identifier. It was just merely once we've locked in, and that was the turning point where they realized, well, our logo is everywhere and our building image is everywhere, and this is very good. This is great for us because we can engage a customer and get them to look at it. And again, I'll go back, when they saw the building pop up and physically walked around the magazine and realized that it was full 3D, they became kids in a candy store. They just couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe it.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Well, while we're talking as well, I've actually just put the Android link up as well. So those of you on the Android and on iOS can now download the Lanterra app from this video. Again, if you're looking at this post-production, just click on the icon at the bottom left of this, and you'll get all the links that I'm talking about all at one go on the right-hand side. But okay, so we've got video, we've got 3D imagery. Now, I presume that is on basic advertising literature. You mentioned then for a second hoarding, which for me is particularly interesting because the amount of developments out there. Sometimes, if they're city-based, there's a lot of busy people out there, and there's a big criticism of why would you use hoarding, because people just walk by it. My argument is why would you not use hoarding? Because if it's a trigger that you're using elsewhere, you're not losing anything by doing it. It might make your hoarding look an awful lot more attractive. And actually, you might start disrupting people's day, and they're wondering, they're walking by that hoarding going, actually, what's going on in there? And if I'm correct, from what I understand, I mean, is it Wellesley? Is that the correct pronunciation?
Wellesley. Yes, it is. It's Wellesley.
Wellesley, sorry. So the Wellesley Road. Wellesley.
It's 11 Wellesley condominiums. Oh, Wellesley Road, yes. Wellesley Road is the actual, it's Wellesley Street that the building sits on. And just as a note, Yonge Street, which is the intersection, is the longest street in Canada. It is the main street of Toronto. It actually, from the point of the lake to its termination point, is, I believe, 1,100 kilometers. Incredible fact. Wellesley is a major intersection of a very affluent, very artistic community, and that intersection couldn't have been a better backdrop for this urban park.
But this is what I mean. I mean, why would you not use hoardings? If you can have augmented content on hoardings, and again, bringing it back down, that means that people can walk along, as long as they have the Lanterra app onto their phone or their iPad or whatever it might be, they can just put that iPad up against the hoarding and the video would play. I mean, that answers all their questions, right?
Also, if I may add something to that one there as well, James, by using the augmented technology on something like the hoarding, we're essentially taking that experience to a whole new level where they can engage with the content, they can see some renderings aside from just the video, they can see a gallery of what the renderings may look like for the future site, as well as even registering for special VIP events. Where traditionally in the past people just walking by it. So now they're actually being able to engage with the content and be part of that event.
That's interesting. Can you just expand on that a little bit? So you're encouraging them to interact with the augment, right? In what way? Tell me. Expand on that for me.
Well, typically in the past, I mean, signage is traditionally put over the hoarding to provide a better, essential visual aspect of things, so it doesn't look so brash and bare. And traditionally here in Toronto, that's used with stuff like large-scale renderings. They're mounted over the hoarding to give it a pleasant eyes, I guess, essentially for the eyes once you're walking by. So what Lino has discussed with the client is essentially taking some of those graphical images that's embedded into the hoarding, and essentially you can engage that with your mobile device, and you can see, like as you had mentioned, things like the video of the project, a gallery component of it where they can see certain renderings of the upcoming development, even having the ability to have a call to action button where they can simply tap on their mobile device and they can register for their event. They can submit their email and it'll go into the database system. Where typically in the past all that's really been there was call this phone number to register to be part of the event and know when we're going live.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of my big things of when dealing with estate agents over here in the UK and realtors is saying that your shop window is so valuable, and yet, and this is the same for hoardings in my view, in an estate agency office, I mean, they might be there even the hardest working agents will be there from, let's say, 8 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock in the evening, right? That's what they'll be.
Okay.
But then there's another 12 hours of the day, which the office is closed, it's all shut up, the lights are off, and yet you can augment your window display. You can augment your hoardings, which mean that you've got a 24-hour shop window for people. You know, people coming home after going out for a meal will always walk past and go, Christ, I wonder what's going on behind that that hoarding. And suddenly you've got your TV channel right there on your hoardings. I mean, it's magical. So why not use it? That's my saying. You mentioned a little bit about obviously calls to action and everything like that, and we mentioned a little bit about the aims of the developer earlier on. Did I specify? Did I go into details? What were the aims of this augmented content? What did they specify as their exact what they wanted to get out of it?
The aims of the augmented content and the entire mobile platform was encapsulated into a simple statement. I would like to have a sales center in a box. I would like to allow people to walk out with a tablet and have every piece of digital media content that was produced for the development, be able to access it across the world at any time of the day, and be able to update it, that if a piece of content changed, everybody's app would be updated. There was never outdated content, and people weren't showing the wrong price lists, people weren't showing the wrong specification sheets, they weren't showing the wrong imagery. And lastly, that if somebody wished to share it with their clients, that they did not have to leave the app, that they would be able to send it directly from the app, formatted into a digital brochure that was pleasantly laid out. And then, last comment, can you track it? Can you now take
that's what I wondered. Yeah, I wondered that.
And the tracking became the pleasant surprise, because metrics to this point were really a black art. Everybody in the development field, including Lanterra, has been trying desperately with their agencies. In this case, Montana Steel is a wonderful agency that we've done many projects with, and they have state-of-the-art abilities to track their outbound marketing, inbound marketing. But they never had an ability to track what happens with those assets. So when we developed the app platform, we tracked every engagement as a session. I'll give you a real metric. In 5 days, 7,800 pieces of collateral were sent out from the app by a mere 40 agents across the world. Then we were able to see who opened them and what the conversion rate was, and we had an engagement rate of, I think, 46%, James.
So let me just step back a little bit, just so I understand it entirely. So what you're saying is 40 agents,
yes,
had sent out. Give me that number again.
7,800 pieces of digital marketing from the app, directly from the app.
Aha. Okay. So by that you mean it might be some printable details. Sorry, it might be some floor plans or anything like that, which I'll come on to because I've got some screen prints here that we can go through.
Yes, they'd be made up from renderings, floor plans, finishes and features, more about the builder, more about the location, VR images, photographs, documents, any asset that traditionally would market a property.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. That's good metrics. And you said your conversion rates.
Well, the
engagement rates, sorry.
Engagement rates were that 46% of the people that received them actually opened them, actually looked at them, which far exceeds the 5 to 10% that even the best of programs managed to get. It became a very good conduit of communication, because a lot of times when you're busy selling a property around the world, we try to balance our knowledge working with the agency very strongly. So in this case, again, our agency that worked with Lanterra, their agency of record, Montana Steel, had an immense network of brokers that work around the world that belong to the builder, and they need to be the content providers. And it really drives an agency crazy to have to go and print broker packages and build a broker portal and make sure the brokers are getting the right content, because if the brokers are not fed good content, they cannot engage in good sales practices. So this helped the agency shine so strongly because they took their expertise and they said, Lino, Vince, here's our expertise. We need you to make sure that this app has the ability to support our product. And they gave us clear, concise direction. And the very first time out the gate, it was nothing but great success.
Okay, let me bring something in, because one of the sometimes the criticisms I have of augmented content, especially when it's used in the sales cycle, in sales rooms and things like that, is sometimes augmented content can get in the way of traditional sales practices, which is just talking to people. And you don't want augmented reality to get in the way of your sales pattern of engaging with your client. And I must give you guys some credit, and I'm going to screen share this so that everybody else can see this as well, because we've got some of the screenshots of the where are we? Here we go. Of the app in process. So this here is basically your home screen of the app, right?
Correct.
Okay, so from here, obviously, they go into the Explore the project, and they'll get a whole host of, let's just see, come into here. So this is the next screen, which is coming here, which is giving people lots of different options across the top, and it's this image here which goes into the augmented content. So it's really only one of 5 different options. So from my perspective, what I particularly like about this is it suddenly means that it's not about the augmented reality. It's about so much more than that. There's so much added content that the layman can come in here and just go, wow, this is pretty cool. And immediately they get hit with this. I mean, it's been refined down to view and tour immunities, but I mean, this is you can actually explode this out to being every single option you've got. But yes, you've got massive options in there for people to search. So you've got the map option. You've got in here the ability, which if I just go into this screen share here, you've got the option to see all the different floor plans. So it's a very clever way that people can just, without having to faff around with the augmented content, which sometimes can be fiddly for people who are not used to it at the moment. Right. But what the app is doing here is it's giving people so much more than just a simple augmented app. It's adding benefits to content which perhaps the layman who doesn't understand this stuff can receive an awful lot more benefit from it as well. So, I mean, I applaud you guys on that. I genuinely do, because it's obviously been thought through, and I think, you know, I must applaud you guys and the developer, because obviously there's some quite stringent ideas which have come in here. So you've got the floor plans in here, you've got the website, and then you've got this here, which is the visuals. And I really like this bit. I really like the function of the ability. You've got the balcony views here. And I think this is such a great thing that people are missing, which is showing the views from different floors. And what you've got on here, you've got like an escalator slider, which you can slide up and down. Seeing the different views from the apartment complex that you may be buying on the 40th floor. You just tap to there, and you can have a little look at the view going around. And it's so interactive, and it's so easy that it just demonstrates what a good app, a good property app, should give people.
I was going to say, like Lino said, it truly is a sales center in a box. All the assets reside within there, and it's, as you'd mentioned, it was designed to be very simplistic in its nature, to explore and let someone go in there and explore the condo or the property. Everything resides there. All the marketing assets are there. The videos are there. And as you'd mentioned, the augmented reality portion is just a small portion to the whole build. It wasn't designed to be focused around the augmented experience. That was a small portion of it. This truly is, as Lino had said, a remarkable sales tool for their brokers to sell the property.
Yeah, and that's what I like, because it's so easy in this tech world to just get so unbelievably taken over by the tech, and they forget the normal person. So just got to ask this, I can't show it on this, and sadly I can't bring in any video element to this for copywritten reasons, but this, as you, on an iPad, you just thumb over this image here, and you'll rotate around the entire view. Now, how was that done, guys? Was it done by drone, or was it done by a normal panoramic photo on a crane?
It was actually done in a very unique fashion. It's a helium blimp balloon that goes. Yes, it is. It's incredible. We've been working with this partner for a good 10 years now. He is renowned all over the United States and Canada for bringing in his 15-foot helium balloon. It looks like the Led Zeppelin. The Zeppelin. That type of a balloon. The Goodyear blimp. And he takes it up floor by floor, and he has a camera that spins in 360 and shoots 16 shots in one continuous spin. He then takes that data, he'll either stitch it for us or provide it to us. We stitched in this case, and we create a seamless ring or cylinder of views that we're able to then show you the directions of the building, and we calibrate them according to compass. And they're quite seamless when you look at them, and the interaction is very smooth. And the elevator button was the idea of our team. Our team as well, that if I'm looking at something on the 35th, I shouldn't have to back out. You know, we have a very good UI UX team for interfacing. They said I should be able to just grab the elevator slider and slide that image straight on up. And you know how hard it is not to shift the image? So if you slide up and all of a sudden the landmarks move to the left or the right. So I applaud our development team. I had fun with that feature. I played with it for hours. It was so well done.
I was so sad today. I was thinking, would I want to be on the 60th floor or would I want to be on the 10th floor? I couldn't work it out because the view is so good at that 60th. I mean, it's wonderful. But then, do you know what? The interest at level 10 of seeing the buildings and the construction work going on. I mean, you could just sit outside your window and it'd be like a picture, just changing every day. You know, it's absolutely splendid. And I don't know. I'm just going to show you this. Go on.
Oh, go ahead. When the lights go on, James, at night, that level 10 and 12 has a lot of visual interest that really, if you're having a cup of tea or coffee or sitting on your balcony, you can visually have some engagement. You're not looking just at a very dull, boring streetscape. It's alive. It's a very active corner of Toronto.
Absolutely. I loved it. I was in Toronto in August, and I know exactly where this is, and it's a lovely area. Now, I'm just going to see if this works or not. But let me just get out of the glare of the thing. So you've got here, and you can see, hopefully, as my iPad is shifting, it's actually moving the images around. You might just, can you guys see that okay?
Yes, we can.
Yep. So that's just an example of one of the renders in here, which again, I think I can probably, no, I can't do. It's okay. So it's gyroscopic, right?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So that's pretty cool, and that's one of, I mean, countless numbers of indoor renderings of that apartment block as well. So it's another neat feature.
And here's an interesting part about that. We complete digital renderings ourselves, and we work with other partners, and we love the spirit of partnership. There is a variety of architects, designers, another rendering house that did work in the interiors, and we took the files, stitched them out, seamed them, and to see the spirit of collaboration between all the professional consultants also made Lanterra's app successful, because I have to give credit. The agency really led the way in making sure that all of the typical vendors could shine in their expertise. It's no easy task to take a rendering, whether we do it or another vendor or an architect provides it, which in this case was a collaboration. It's no easy task to make that seamless experience try to envelop you in. So I give credit to everybody because everybody was so cooperative in the workflow.
Absolutely, and look, I've got to share this one. I love this one. Although it sort of scares me a little bit, but the gymnasium, man, I mean, that's awesome, huh?
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
They designed a gorgeous space.
The pool one is very incredible as well.
Yeah, but the saddest thing about all this is I look at this. Yeah, there you go. Is I look at this and I think I spend more time looking at it than actually in it. Although the pool, perhaps I wouldn't be, right? Let's have a look. There you go. Look at that pool. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
But you know, this is the joy of this stuff, man. I mean, this is where technology is going, and this is why. I mean, what I always say to a lot of the developers I work with is just saying, look, your development is in Dubai, your client is in Alaska. How are you going to communicate your message and just how wonderful your development is if they are never going to meet you, but they might be an investor who's willing to put this, and they'll come over for the 6 weeks in the summer, but they're not going to come over on an inspection visit, and they're a bit tentative on buying off plan. This is how you do it. This is how developers will expand and grow their geographical boundaries of marketing. That's what it's all about. Marketing is no longer geographically restrained within the town, the village, the city, or even the country that you're in. With using technology properly and using it well, not badly, this stuff will severely increase your, what I was always called the sphere of influence of your marketing. And that's what it's all about. One final thing I'm just going to bring in, and I'm going to bring it into the showcase app on the left or right-hand side, whichever way you're looking at it now, is the video that your collaborative, you mentioned this collaboration thing, Lino, earlier on. I think it's one of your sort of collaborative people that built the video as well, which I also think is a great example of working with real footage and CGI embedded over the top of real-life video stuff. So could you expand on that for us?
Yes, Gearshift Studios have been a great partner for us over the years, and also for the agency in Montana. So, you know, Jordan Barker, the owner and director of the video, he's done a lot of these videos, and he is just world class when it comes to quality. And he took the storyboard with the agency, and he went out and actually physically put a film crew on the street, shot 1 or 2 days. Took all the CGI, all of the assets, and merged it together and built that short little branded video film, really. It was done as a film that everybody embraced and immediately put all over the internet and sent out to their clients worldwide. And I got to give them credit. Montana Steel and Gearshift have done several of these over the years. And each one, I've had the pleasure of being part of co-director on a few, but each one of them, I credit them. Well done. They treat it like film. It's no small task to go out and get permits and film, but they just completely knock it out of the ballpark doing a world-class job on it, and it becomes a living piece of art.
It does. We're getting a bit deep here, aren't we? This is shocking. But no, I must say that you could see the story all the way through. You know, the leaf flying through, which you understood that it's all about the green and how nice it was in the park, which I understand has got some quite a significant symbolism within this development. So I get that whole story element to it. So yeah, so it's fantastic. And okay, look, let's we're running over time a little bit because I just get a little bit too enthusiastic about this stuff. But what would be your one tip for any developer out there or agent, for example, who's looking to commission this sort of stuff? Is there anything that you could give, based on what Lanterra went through on their first rollout, that will help others?
I would have to start with the general tip of be daring. Don't be afraid to explore other avenues outside of the traditional realm. Give your client the comfort that there are a variety of digital options that are tested and proven that can enhance the marketing program. And I think that having a very good discovery questionnaire in place when meeting with the client, that you can establish the aims, much like we did, is the starting point, because then going out and finding best of practice digital applications towards it becomes so much easier. So, and I'll use an example. I'm currently working with another client, with a partner, completely outside of Canada, in Greenville, South Carolina, and these people have completely adopted it. They've completely absorbed it, and immediately their existing clientele has also come to them and asked. And I'm finding that everybody wants solutions, James. They just want to know that there's digital options to deliver them, and that the teams can bring proven technologies to the table. And once you've mapped that out and you create a little chart, a storyboard out of it, I think you'll agree there are so many solutions that can be plugged in for the client. The one piece of or closing statement I can give is that when the client holds their product in a tablet in their hand, it's like watching a child at Christmas opening the gift that they wanted.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. And Vincenzo, have you got anything from your perspective that you could sort of put upon anybody looking to do this sort of technology in the future?
I think Lino wrapped it up fairly well. It's kind of difficult to follow up.
Pretty good, really, wasn't it? It was pretty good.
He's a good closer, man. That's why he's there. I'm just gonna let him.
It's not my dashing good looks.
No, I tell you, I will add to that in the sense of that be bold statement is a very powerful one, because the property market is a very, very hesitant market. It's the classic case of if it isn't broken, don't fix it. And I think what we've got to start thinking about now, and Toronto's been in a similar situation. I mean, it's quietened off a little bit now in terms of the market, but take the London market, it's flying. Take some of the international markets out there. They're going very, very well. The economy's coming back. And the old school way of doing great big tours around the world, taking massive models with them, we have to start planning. We have to start looking at the succession of models of traditional exhibition fairs. And there's nothing wrong with them. Let's be honest. People come to these fairs. But you have to give people a reason to come to yours. Alternatively, one of the big criticisms of that great big sort of journey that you're going to take around the world trying to sell your development is it's very, very expensive. It's also very difficult from a time perspective and a geography perspective. You're expecting the clients who you so desperately want, and you spent a lot of money trying to get them onto your databases in the first place. Unless they are in Singapore, the heart of Singapore, at that particular date, at that particular time, they are in the position to buy, and they want to come and see you, and they're not going to their aunties for dinner. It's very difficult to get hold of them. And so you spent a lot of money getting there. And so it's by using technologies like this, which can augment that side of your marketing as well. It means that ahead of time, ahead of going, you can forward think your entire marketing strategy and say, look, let's look at augmented reality, let's look at virtual reality, let's look at the interactive app side of this. This will be our pre-plan for our entire tour. Or actually, do you know what? It's going to replace our entire tour. But don't be afraid to investigate these new techniques, because at the end of the day, as Peter Drucker once said, a famous management consultant, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. With things like what we're talking about here, you absolutely can measure the success. Give it a go once. Why not? You've got nothing to lose. And that's all I'm going to say, guys. That's all I'm going to say. One last thing before I go, though. That's a complete contradiction in terms, isn't it? I've got to say, you guys, look, Clockworks. Again, those of you who are on the Showcase app, I've actually now put it up there, the Clockworks website. There's some fantastic stuff on there. If you love your properties, you love your cars, I mean, you guys have got the most amazing graphics on there. So definitely check it out. Is there anything final from you guys to add?
I'd like to thank you, James, for the opportunity and having taken a look at the app and afforded us the time to speak about it. We love what we do, and you run a wonderful show, and I mean it was so engaging and so pleasant to be on your show.
Fantastic. Cheers, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you. Cheers,
no
James.
Worries. Well, look, just to sort of my final wrap up is obviously, as I said, this is a property technology show. The next one is going to be on the 28th of August. I'm off for a couple of weeks. But I'm going to come back and I'll be talking about things like this, which I received this week. Getting the guys who created this, which is the AlterGaze. It's a 3D printed VR headset. And in this case, you stick mine has been 3D printed for an iPod Touch. You stick it in the back, and it's an alternative to the Oculus. There's some very, very interesting ways of using, for example, what these guys have produced. And you could look at that beautiful swimming pool in virtual reality and stick it in. So there's some great stuff on that. And obviously, the Google Cardboard, or this one is from a company called Eyesight View, which they posted this out to me in the post. Again, you just stick your phone in the back of this, and you're suddenly in virtual reality. So this, to me, is an alternative to Oculus. It's a very different method, but I'll be talking with the two guys who created this about using it in the property market and how virtual reality, again, is a game changer. And it's not so far off. When Palmer Luckey, an 18-year-old kid, started building Oculus, and at the age of 21, he sold it to Facebook for $2 billion, you suddenly realize that virtual reality is becoming a very, very serious thing. And us in the property market should be absolutely embracing it with everything that we can. So on that note, thanks everyone for joining me, and that's it. Cheers, guys.
Thank you.